I stood in the courthouse hallway with my cane trembling in my hand, the rubber tip squeaking every time my weight shifted. Above me, the fluorescent lights buzzed like trapped insects, relentless, uncaring. Each flicker felt personal, like the building itself was impatient with me for still being alive. On the bulletin board near the clerk's window, an auction notice flapped in the stale air. My house address was printed in bold, thick ink. It looked less like information and more like an accusation. I stared at it until my eyes burned, as if the paper might suddenly apologize. When my turn came, a young clerk leaned into his microphone and twisted my name into something unrecognizable. He laughed at his own mistake. Laughter spilled behind the glass window, quick and careless, the kind people use when they don't expect consequences. I opened my mouth to correct him, but the sound died halfway up my throat. Security guards watched me the way people watch unattended bags, suspicious, temporary. I felt every one of my years settle into my bones. My back straightened out of stubbornness, not strength. As I reached into my purse for my documents, my granddaughter's photo slid out and landed face up on the dirty floor. Her smile stared up at me, bright and unbothered. Shoes stepped around it. No one noticed. I bent slowly, my knees protesting, and tucked her back where she belonged. The banker spoke loudly, too loudly, explaining my default as if he were narrating a lesson for the room. Strangers leaned in. I could feel their curiosity pressing against my skin. He used words like negligence and failure, making sure each one landed where everyone could hear. A pen was pushed toward me. "Sign here," he said, already looking past me. When I hesitated, he added, "Or step aside for people who understand what they're doing." I asked a question, just one. A man behind me raised his phone and started recording. "Confused grandma," he muttered, amused. My face burned, but my voice stayed calm. I asked another question. No one answered it. The word foreclosure echoed in my head, louder than the rattling ceiling fans. It bounced off the walls, off my ribs, off the life I had built. That's when I understood. This wasn't a mistake, it was a performance, and I was the punchline. My knees locked. The bench behind me waited, inviting me to shrink. I didn't sit. I refused to look small. The final stamp came down hard. Thud. It hit the paper like a gavel hitting my chest. Final. Official. Satisfied. As I turned to leave, someone whispered, not quietly enough, "She should have planned better." Something inside me went cold, sharp and awake. I bought that house with hands still raw from factory work, grease under my nails, blisters that split and healed and split again. Every brick felt earned because it was.
I raised 3 children inside those walls. I painted them myself. Cheap rollers, uneven strokes, one paycheck at a time. That house heard lullabies, arguments, prayers whispered into pillows. My husband's ashes are buried under the neem tree out back. I talk to him there when I need courage. I told him I'd protect what we built. I meant it. At night after long shifts, I taught myself letters so I could read bills without asking anyone. I sounded them out slowly, stubbornly. Banks scared me, but I trusted signatures more than people. Ink felt honest. That same institution once praised me as a model saver in a newsletter. They took my photo, shook my hand, called me disciplined. After my stroke, numbers began slipping away from me. They danced where they used to stand still. I leaned on my son for help. He said he'd handle the paperwork. He said I deserved rest. He said it gently. I believed him because mothers always do. Medical bills stacked quietly. Envelopes came and went. Everyone told me not to worry. I sold my jewelry before I ever missed a payment. My wedding bangles went first, then the necklace my mother gave me. The betrayal didn't arrive loudly, it crept in wearing family language. "I've got it, Ma. Don't stress. Trust me." Now looking back, every kindness feels rehearsed, every smile timed. The wound wasn't just poverty, it was trust. When I requested my financial records, the bank told me it would take months. They said it casually, like time belonged to them. Letters arrived with deadlines already passed, dates mocking me in bold print. My calls were routed endlessly, each voice colder than the last, each transfer a small dismissal. My son stopped meeting my eyes when I mentioned the house. One night, I overheard him on the phone, his voice sharp, saying, "We need to close before winter." A neighbor told me strangers had been photographing my property, measuring, assessing. I felt like I was still living there only out of habit. Digging through statements, I discovered a second mortgage, one I never signed for. My name was there, forged, sloppy, but accepted. The ink wasn't even careful. I went back to the bank. I raised my voice, not loud, just firm. Security escorted me out for causing distress. Mine apparently didn't count. My chest tightened, but my mind sharpened. I bought a notebook. I wrote down every name, every date, every tone. I sold my TV to pay for photocopies.
The system was betting on me being tired. They were wrong. A late-night phone call woke me. The voice on the other end was calm, respectful. It was my old student from literacy class, the boy who used to sound out words the way I once did. He was a junior legal clerk now. He said my case file crossed his desk and didn't make sense. Then he asked one question that changed everything. "Did you authorize a power of attorney?" The betrayal finally had a shape, a paper trail. He offered nothing illegal, only clarity. He told me exactly where to request records the bank hoped I wouldn't find. Fear turned into focus. I pulled every document from my old steel trunk. I found my husband's will untouched. I found bank statements altered with whiteout, numbers nudged, names shifted. Before hanging up, he said, "You're not too late." I slept for the first time in weeks. I woke up ready. I filed a formal fraud complaint using their own compliance language. Their words, their rules. I requested a hearing instead of begging in private. My son received a summons before I spoke to him again. At the hearing, the bank manager recognized me too late. In the room, when the clerk misread my name, I corrected him, slowly, clearly. I presented documents one by one, forcing them to watch. My son's face collapsed as forged signatures appeared on the screen. The bank's lawyer objected too often, too fast. An auditor testified that internal protocols were ignored. I spoke last. I told them about every lie told in my kitchen. The room went silent when I said I trusted him because he was my child. The judge ordered an immediate injunction. A criminal investigation was announced, public record. I walked out upright as the cameras finally turned away. The house was returned before the neem tree shed its leaves. The bank issued a written apology they never intended to write. My son pleaded. I let the law answer him. Restitution arrived as a check heavier than it looked. I paid my debts in full, line by line. Neighbors stopped whispering and started waving. I put a small desk by the window and took back my papers. I taught other elders how to read their statements. The bank updated its senior protections policy using my case. I still feel the loss, but it no longer owns me. Justice didn't give me back years, it gave me back choice. I planted a second neem tree. Now I speak directly. My voice is quieter but sharper. Revenge wasn't about punishment, it was about proof. Proof that age is not consent. Proof that silence isn't confusion. Question anyone who rushes you. Learn one new word on every document you sign. Betrayal hurts more when it wears love's face. Thank you to the strangers who believed me when it wasn't convenient. My house is still standing behind me. If this story reached you, it wasn't by accident. Share it with someone who feels powerless. Subscribe, not for me, but for stories like mine. They took everything from me until I remembered who I was.